Today is March 3rd. We're going to bring you some headlines and a little bit of drama commentary. As always, I'm joined here by Lux over on that side.
Hello.
Yeah, we're virtually in the same room, and that's all that matters, right? So, today, wow. Over the weekend, there was some crazy stuff breaking as we were doing our last podcast. It's almost if they know our timing. We're going to have to watch for breaking stuff, too, as we go today, because who knows what will happen. So today we're going to be talking about the Ukraine crazy drama situation with the meeting at the White House. And we're also going to cover a little bit of a breakdown about why everything DOGE saying is about the furthest from reality that you could possibly get. And the overall rug pull of saving money, i.e. gutting social services. And that'll be fun. Yeah. And then we've got some really scaredy cat Republicans we'll get to go for as well. So, yeah, let's hop into this first story. I understand you stayed in the dark about this whole drama thing. I gotta introduce this for you. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, hold on. You're there. That's great. Do you see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay. So, check it out. This was an incredibly nuts confrontation. President Zelensky of Ukraine met with Trump at the White House in order to broker this mineral deal where he was going to sign off something on the order of $500 billion worth of rare earth minerals to the U.S. to pay for previous aid that we've given them, right? Which doesn't add up because that's way more than what we gave them over the course of the Ukraine war. But besides the point, they met up in the Oval Office, and the entire world has reacted to this temper tantrum, kind of in a broad stroke of, wow, the U.S. has, we're really here, right? So let's check out the beginning of this. Basically, the overview, Zelensky hopped into this meeting, and immediately, remember how I was like, I wish we got more JD Vance? Our wish was granted today. And so right at the beginning here, JD Vance tries to do this strong man of like, starts to be like, you've never thanked us for anything, and we're trying to save you, and you're a propagandist. Like, during this meet, it's wild. It's wild. Okay, so let's listen here with JD Vance's first hilarious comments.
Hey, I want to respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
All right. So President Trump is engaging in diplomacy.
Trump doesn't even know what diplomacy means.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if you look right here, Trump and Zelensky get into shouting match. I mean,
I didn't know they were okay. No, I'm really okay.
They're
Shout.
he might know about some diplomacy. Okay. So actually, I'm gonna find another video that covers some highlights, but here were like a couple personal things I wanted to throw in there that may or may not be in all the highlights. So halfway through, basically, like JD Vance says, like, when have you ever said thank you for everything we've done to you, like, or done for you? But that's a Freudian slip on their part, kind of. But basically, JD Vance was coming in like, you're not appreciative. Like, we're trying to keep you from getting bombed by Russia that we're talking with in order to, like, it's all just BS. And they're like trying to be like, we're the only thing standing between you and a blown up Ukraine. So Trump starts doing his whole apprentice kind of shtick. And so halfway through, it gets into things such as this.
And Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful. Because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
One more question to
This is...
He looks mad.
Oh yeah.
Like, he
Look
looks
at
like he's boiling.
I mean, think about it. He's been systematically emasculated by Elon Musk and the entire media being like, "You're a child." And in this last week, he's been like, "You don't talk to the president that way. That's very disrespectful. You never talk to," and it's like, if you have to call yourself there was a clip, you've seen Game of Thrones?
Yes. Uh-huh.
There was a clip pairing the King Joffrey thing where he's like, "I am the king," and then what's his face, Tywin, I think, is like, "Any king who has to say they're king is no true king."
Oh, Tyrion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's a Trump comment where he's like, "I am the president," and blah blah, and it's just pathetic behavior. But anyway, going on his face, watch his face after he says you have to be more thankful. This is great.
And Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful.
I know. It's like he looks like he's reaching his boiling point, and he's just gonna let loose. Like, I hope he punches him in the head. He won't, but like that's a fantasy.
And then look at Zelensky's face. He's basically like, "Are these MFers serious right now? What is happening?"
Yeah. I feel so bad for him because he is fighting for his country, and like he gets met with this shit.
Yeah, and there are more comments. I'm gonna hop into a little highlight thing as we go on, but here's one more that I wanted to show from this full clip, and it might be in the highlights too.
JD and his floodwaters. So I hate how tight and short his pants are.
Yeah, they're too short pants. And then Trump's got the same write-up going on. Zelensky has nicely fitted pants, but we'll get into this whole fit thing. People are always talking about the dumbest decorum sort of rules, and yeah, I'll get into that. One sec.
What are you saying?
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me.
Look at Zelensky's face. He's like, is this really happening right now?
Do I know my heart? Like, I want to cry because he's just been beaten down, and now he's sitting next to this effing Cheeto man.
He's negotiating with actual toddlers throwing a temper tantrum because they're not literally sucking at the teat of American oligarchy. It's crazy. Let's see. I'm going to pull up that other video. But yeah, so what are your thoughts on what you've seen so far?
Disappointment and disgust, and I feel like my heart goes out to Zelensky because I can't imagine the predicament he's in right now. Like, I can't imagine trying to save your entire country and you are met with a man that tells you should just be thankful for whatever he gives you.
Mm-hmm. All right, one sec. Boop. Just want to make sure that it didn't overlap you. Yeah, it's an extremely odd situation. Here we are, the leader of the free world. Like, oh my gosh, we haven't even gotten into the big stuff. I'm hoping they cover it in this here. We'll just play this whole attempted highlight reel, and hopefully they cover some of the other comments. I wanted to see how do you see.
You're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
Feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right.
He's saying that you're feeling influence from the Russians, necessarily because you are negotiating a ceasefire between Ukraine and Russia with the Russians. And so that's what Zelensky's saying right here. And Trump's like, you have no right to tell us how to feel. And he's saying, no. They're going to make you feel the influence of but Trump doesn't know how to like use his brain power to understand words, nor does he desire to. But okay, I'll let it roll. Okay, let's just listen to
Right
it.
now, not in a very good position.
I can't see the
You've
video.
allowed.
Oy. This is important, guys. Okay, let's flip that back.
It is. Okay.
Not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on this
position to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this.
you're doing.
I'm not
You're in
dictating.
no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
You
We're
will-
going to feel very
you will
good.
Feel influence.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the very
bad position,
beginning
and he
of the
happens
war.
to be right about
From the
it.
very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Brown,
position.
I
You don't
was
have
in
the cards right now. With us, you start having
not playing
cards.
cards.
Right now, you
I'm
don't.
very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think
You're
you-
gambling with World War III.
what you're
You're
speaking
gambling
about?
with
What you're
World
speaking
War
about?
III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
I'm
That's
with
back
all
to
respect to
you.
your
Far
country.
more than a lot of people said
very
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once? This
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for
He
the
has to
opposition
shut
in
up.
October.
Every single comment that JD Vance has in the history of his existence is superfluous, grating, and vapid. Like everything he ever says, just like his attempted comedic career, it just completely falls flat. He's like one of those hype guys that some people's friends have, where they just keep trying to go about something, and like the gang's like, "Okay, Jimmy, calm down, JD, we got this. You know, you're making a bad case for us right now. We had a handle." And so anyway, he pipes up halfway through, and this kind of covered a couple of the highlights I wanted to see. So
Entire meeting, have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of
you're
America
speaking about.
and the president who's trying to save your country.
But he isn't.
no, he's not. He's trying to extract raw rare earth minerals from Ukraine and to hand a victory over to Russia. Like that's literally what's happening.
This is why I for so long avoided the whole going this deep into politics thing, because I would not be diplomatic about it. I get angry and then I want to insult them. Like I want to be in front of JD Vance and Trump right now and just insult the fuck out of them. Sorry, but
You're not wearing a suit. So honestly, you know, like you're not in that meeting. That's not your job. We're here to
Well-
do that. That's our whole point.
I wonder if this is something that you're going to bring up too, but I vaguely remember something like a comment that was made about like a costume. Like there's no reason to wear a costume. Is that something you're going to talk about?
Yeah, so I was talking about
Yeah.
the fit thing and the suit situation. Well, let's look over
Yeah.
here. Let's go back to that first bit because we got a really good shot of their
Are you-
pants. Oh,
I
this
just
is
feel
from a
so
different
bad.
one.
They're like
There we
bullying
go.
and ganging up on a man that needs help. I can't.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
So basically, they did you ever hear about the Obama brown or the tan suit controversy?
Yeah.
This is a tan suit situation where afterwards, Lauren Boebert, I think, or it was Marjorie Taylor Greene, one of those dumb hick representatives or senators from a place that no one wants to live, started saying such things as, "Wow, how disrespectful of Zelensky to come to this meeting and not wear a suit and tie."
I'm just angry. I'm just angry now. Like I didn't think I was gonna start my Monday just fuming. I'm gonna spend like all day just thinking about.
Don't you worry. Don't you worry. We're going to get it all out right now. But anyway, I thought it was hilarious because they can't even get properly fit pants to where they get their like little scrunched up lean over thing. And you're seeing their
Exactly.
dress socks.
But
And
where's
then
the flag, Vance? Are we prepared for like hurricane waters? Like
oh my gosh. Well, that's what happens when you don't fund the EPA or FEMA. You know what I mean? Like you got to prepare for the flood. But yeah, so like he's a wartime president, literally staying in a country that's being actively bombed, negotiating a ceasefire deal like an adult human and speaking at normal tones. And then JD Vance comes in admonishing. He's the stepdad saying, "I'll turn this car right around. We don't have to go to Waterworld. You keep it up like that, we're going right back to Russia bombing you." So yeah, like there was this whole thing about, wow, Zelensky was so disrespectful because he didn't have a tie on. And that's like the level of rhetoric that Republicans are reduced to in their current situation, attempting to defend everything that's going on. It's a weird balancing act because so many people on the right are like trying to hedge their bets and they start to see, oh my gosh, my constituents actually really need Medicaid. Like half of them are on Medicaid, and I can't I can't be like, this is great. But some people are going to end up voting for it anyway against their own interests. But they have to talk about it like, I disapprove of what he said, but like, he's the president, and at the end of the day, he knows exactly what he's talking about, even though he doesn't. So they're really in a conundrum as far as like having to explain and wash off all of these events that just keep happening, and they're going to be increasingly pressed. Speaking of which, Mike Johnson, terrible guy. He's the leader of the House, this House Majority Leader, and he basically commented on the Zelensky thing, and depending on where you read it from, the right leaning ones say, Mike Johnson admonished Zelensky for terrible behavior and blah 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 blah, but then if you read on the left side, they also add the caveat that Mike Johnson also said, hey, we cannot trust or work with Putin. So he's trying to hedge his bets on both sides, being like, Zelensky made a fool of himself, but also Putin, we can't work with him. And it's like, well, you can't pick a side, and you're all pro-Trump, so you're gonna be working with Putin. Like, that's what you've committed yourself to. And so, but they want to say, oh, I'm a relatively respectful person, and I'm not as crazy as Trump, but I will facilitate every sort of policy plan he wants to put forward. So, at the end of the day,
I just feel horrible.
don't you worry. Get into laughing mode. This is fun. This is hilarious.
I'll laugh when there's something like I don't know. I make fun of his pants, but it's like you get to a point where there's not even any jokes that you can make. I want to laugh at the situation that Trump is like throwing a fit and he's trying to get his words in because he knows he's wrong. This man knows he's wrong, but he's still talking out of his pooper. All right.
Right. Towards the end
But then you have J.D. Vance that's sitting there with eyeliner and a baby face and is like, you should be thankful. Did you ever say thank you? Why would he thank you? Why would he thank us? We've done nothing to help him.
Right.
Where's the thanks from?
Right. It doesn't matter anything about like the facts of what's going on. Let's see. Let me pull up this bigger clip because there was another thing he says here. Trump just like completely disregarding and showing his absolute lack of understanding of this whole situation. So right here, I think it is.
Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom.
So he's defending Putin, saying, and look at Zelensky right now. He's like, are you serious?
Right, because he makes no sense at all. Like there's no comprehension there. What does that have to do with Hunter Biden's bathroom or bedroom?
He's talking about Russiagate and the theory and the investigation into whether or not Russia influenced the 2016 election. And regardless of any official state involvement and like the findings of that, it's not debatable that like foreign powers are constantly trying to bombard the media system in order to influence public opinion of American politics. Like, that's not debatable. And I'm not saying that it's even like exclusive to Trump or this administration or anything, or even Russia. It's like all foreign actors have an incentive to push the narrative, and it's proven that they have like millions and millions of bots in a lot of these countries that like post random propaganda. And so it's like he's going out of his way to defend Putin while he's literally admonishing one of our biggest allies and the people that it's a country that literally is a block that stands in between Russia and the rest of Europe, right?
Yes.
So the whole thing is they're trying to let Putin just have it, and that's just the first block of them re-extending their Soviet-level dynasty. That's clearly Putin's goal, and Trump is just like, he's so easily manipulatable. He's like, I like a big, strong man that likes to lick my boots, so he's gonna have whatever he wants. Does he want all your rare earth minerals? Hand it over. You don't have the cards right now. You have the minerals, but you don't have the cards. It's weird.
I don't know. My favorite thing to do is to watch people's faces who are in the room with Trump to see if anyone smells poopy.
Well,
He
let's
ever
see.
pooped his pants.
I think. Oh, come on! I pressed zoom and it zoomed out. That didn't work for me. Well, hold on. This is important for the program.
It's a giant man, baby.
Let's get a little zoom in on this. Wait, is it not gonna? There we go. This is important, everybody. Wait, not that. Look at this man's face.
But he's over it. He's done. But like Trump can't really talk about
This isn't really working.
foreign affairs and like or voting and things like that when he himself came out and said that this election was rigged.
Yeah, he was like, we had plans and we didn't even really need to use them, but we had it in the bag, guys. Don't you worry. And it's like, why would you say that? Like, none of what he does makes sense. He could have just never mentioned it,
Because he doesn't know anything. He's just dumb. He's just stupid. He doesn't make any decisions. He's got people telling him what to do, and then he lets slip that they told him to do it, but then he backtracks and he was like, no one is as powerful as me. It's like, you're fucking stupid.
Right.
Sorry, I swore again, but I'm angry.
No worries.
I just...
Let's see. So I do not want to subscribe to your thing or have your cookies on my thing. Moving on from like the first initial part of this story, we're going to look at a little bit of what happened in the wake of it. And it's been a developing deal because this all happened over the weekend and it's still cooking. Like headlines I was reading last night as I was compiling stuff, like we're kind of doing more breaking news stuff. So the first bit I wanted to get to is after this, one of the first bits of the wake was Keir Starmer and Emmanuel Macron basically kind of said, hey, we're going to craft our own ceasefire deal to present to the United States regarding Ukraine and Russia. And I've heard differing reports and analyses of it, but the ceasefire would be negotiated to be... Can you see my screen? Perfect.
yeah.
The idea would be a 1-month temporary ceasefire that would cover all air and sea operations, okay, for 1 month and halt all of that. But what's not included with air and sea? Land. So basically what's happened with this is the criticisms I've heard of this particular deal is that, okay, while it sounds good on its face, any occupying power or any war between two opposing powers, whichever one is the larger one, has the advantage as far as ground game goes. So the ceasefire would literally accept the ground game, like boots on the ground troops. And so they could just keep free roaming during the month of a ceasefire. And so Russia has a natural sort of advantage there because they got millions of people to just keep conscripting. And Ukraine is much smaller and their army is not as equipped, especially without aid coming from us and other allies, right? Russia doesn't get a whole bunch of aid because they have kind of a stockpile and their own thing going on. So they're less dependent on support from other places for this conflict, right? So anyhow, this is it's a good gesture, but it's kind of a nothing burger because it wouldn't be a very good deal for Ukraine in the end of the day on account of it's basically an extra head start for Russia, right? But then something that's interesting about it is during this, Keir Starmer, PM of the UK, said, the UK is prepared to back this with boots on the ground and planes in the air, together with others. Europe must do the heavy lifting. So he is throwing out to Europe as a whole this idea of, hey, let's make a coalition to have us support Ukraine if the U.S. can't be trusted, basically. So they're working on this peace plan, which is a please don't autoplay. Okay. And so, again, it's this 1 month ceasefire that's not really the deal that they want. And then, so the most breaking bit that I've seen is Zelensky had said, like, over the weekend, like, I don't know if it was beginning of Monday or whatever, because Europe, but he was like, I'm still willing to sign the mineral deal if they want to come to the table. And so it's just this weird thing where he's like being strong-armed from all sides and no one's really coming up with a solution that's equitable and non-toddler-like.
I mean, that's what happens when you have Trump in your administration. All it's going to be is temper tantrums and
Yeah.
have it my way. Yeah. Well, not technically his way, Russia's way.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's literally there was a representative from Russia over the weekend quoted as saying, "Hey, what's happening right now is good as far as U.S. foreign military positions are starting to align largely with what Russia wants." And so they're just saying it out loud, like, "We're getting exactly what we desire. Thank you, Trump." Yeah, they're not hiding it. They're like, "Zelensky, you're a dictator. Putin, you're a nice guy."
Which
Okay.
is just absolutely absurd. Ugh.
Yeah, it's what happens when you pair a feckless tyrant with uninhibited power, right? Like, that's all that's happening. Trump is just doing everything he can to protect himself. And so he, like I was saying with the whole Israel-Gaza situation, like, and him being a peacetime president, he's trying to prevent conflict by literally just giving the game to all the bad guys and, like, making the good guys forfeit everything. So that's his plan, because to me, my opinion is he's doing that because he knows that the bad actors are more easily manipulatable, as they don't have this moral predisposition to, like, stand up for values or the rule of law and sorts of things. And I'm not even being facetious, but I feel like he is siding with those people because he feels like they are more likely to be part of nefarious schemes in order for quid pro quos and lining of coffers and prevention of felony jail time and all of that sort of stuff to happen. That's my take on it, But yeah, so this was an extremely interesting story, and it's going to keep developing. I'm curious where we'll be by Friday with this story as it develops. But yeah, that was like one of the biggest stories over the weekend. So we had to cover it right off tops, right?
I just still can't believe that we actually, I say we, like, as in I was a part of it. I wasn't, but like we as a people allowed this man to be in office twice. I still can't believe the first time around. Like, I literally thought that was a joke and people weren't going to do it, and they did. And now we're here.
Yeah.
And they voted for him again.
2015, it felt like a joke. By the time Bernie got shafted in March 2016 by Debbie Wasserman Schultz and the DNC, like, quite literally rigging it all for Clinton, by then I was like, the moment that happened, that's when I was like, this is about to happen. Like, it's very likely that it might go Trump, because they basically were like, it'd be sweet. The Democratic Party, they were like, what if we handicapped ourselves against the most populist faux celebrity apprentice, celebrity that exists, right? What if we put our most milquetoast, least exciting, and least trusted people up in the running? I come from Arkansas, you know what I mean? And so the Clintons are and were a big thing. Our whole airport is the Bill and Hillary Clinton National Airport.
Yep.
They got their whole timeline of their achievements on the wall as you go to your gates, right? But at the same time, even people in Arkansas have this and even Democrats and things like kind of like Clinton, Epstein, and like sort of dark arts and suspicious dealings. And I haven't looked into it too much, but they have a large reputation amongst the populace of executing plans, pun intended, as far as like taking out people that are political adversaries or getting in their way. And all these sorts of things where they're exactly associated with the establishment and neoliberalism and the deep state, as it were. So they chose her over Bernie Sanders, who was the first genuine populist and actually fighting for a set of ideals that hasn't been seriously talked about since the 1960s in politics, right? Bolstering healthcare with Medicare for all, free college, and taxing the rich at a much higher rate in order to fix this redistribution of wealth. That's a huge thing, like if you look at the history of wealth distribution in America and the tables of productivity continuing to go up per American worker while the wages quite literally stagnated over time. So this kept going up, and like the value of a worker went up, and then our wages kept staying here with inflation. That money goes somewhere, and guess where it's going? It's going up, up, up to the very freaking top, and that's their game plan. And Trump has been implementing tax cuts. Starting in 2017, he put in a permanent corporate tax rate cut from 35% to 21%. So almost halving the amount of money that corporations pay. And that's before any loopholes or anything like that. And then you also have, he passed a huge set of personal tax cuts that are set to expire like this year or something. And so he's going to extend that with these new house cuts. And that's what we're gonna get into next. Yeah.
We're the most like seriously unserious population of people here in America. And so I hope the government has learned from this. Like if you try it, like with the Hillary Trump of that first election, they're like, well, no one's gonna want to vote for him, right? So we can make her look better by throwing him up. And we're like, yeah, bet. And then they voted for Trump, and
Right.
and now look where we are. So it's like don't mess with the group of people that will call your bluff, and then just do some stuff like this.
Don't mess with
Because we will.
Zohan.
No, exactly. It like I mean it like the fact that we're having protests right now, but another like large part of the protest is just the fact that people are roasting our politicians right now.
Yeah.
And they're funny, but we're dying inside, and we're still gonna make jokes about how tight your pants are because we don't like you.
Oh yeah. And I mean,
Seriously unserious.
right. Like how tight your pants are and how loose your logic is. We tie it both together into one little nice bow, right? And we hand it to the consumer. And we say, hey, don't consume propaganda. Consume our propaganda. But
Yeah.
it's important to have...
Cyberbullying is back in.
It's important to have analyses from people who are not simply just repeating talking points. And everybody has their own biases. Like, we're not going to pretend, like, we're coming from a centrist position. I think that that's a BS propaganda, or it's a BS concept, right? Like, no one is free of bias. We all come from a personal perspective. No one is born omniscient and has, like, an overwhelming, detached sort of... Unless you're like a Buddhist. Maybe Buddhists could like start a really good like Walter Cronkite type of news thing, but that's besides the point.
I just hope that we learn from this lesson.
Right.
At least our government.
Exactly. What's important is to have media literacy and be able to check primary sources and to look at bigger sorts of things. And that is what the next bit I wanted to get into is as well. Did you have other...
I was just going to say reading comprehension is also a really big thing, because I've seen people like in comments of anywhere of a political video where they're like, well, they said this, and it's like, but you didn't comprehend that though. You don't understand what the next byproduct of that is going to be. It's a chain reaction.
Right.
You're only reading what you want to read. That's it.
That's so true. And so that is a perfect segue into this next segment. Yeah, so this is kind of like a few stories together that tell one more overarching narrative, just like what we're kind of getting into here. And we're going to overview some of what we talked about last time, but that don't matter. Let's get into it. So numbers don't add up. And so this is one of the biggest things going on right now. In America, people are thinking about DOGE, mass firings. And so there are some people who are not affected at all, and they're just, oh, wow, he's doing so much. He's cutting all the waste and fraud, and have so little investment. They're completely detached, and they just read some headlines. And there's this, I don't want to make this a whole story, but there's this super dishonest reporting and like inherent bias in how things are phrased in the media. And one of them being, I'll see many articles from centrist purporting media outlets where they'll talk about a DOGE headline, and the first sentence is something like, the Department of Government Efficiency, which is a watchdog agency implemented to, cut waste and fraud in the government. And it's like, you can tell them that is what they claim to be, but you have to fact check like that. Like, the bigger perspective is that is clearly not what is happening, and they do not have that intention at all. So to claim, that's like saying, Israel, always using Israel is fighting for a ceasefire while bombing Palestinian children. Like, it's just completely dishonest. And another thing on that is the whole, as they're talking about the ceasefire deal, just quickly, they have this idea of saying, oh, there are 200-something Palestinian or Israeli hostages held by Hamas. And on the other side, we have thousands of Palestinian prisoners held by Israel. And so you see how there's this lack of parity between the two. And somehow, people who are captured and held hostage against their will on one side are called hostages. And then on the other side, who are literally holding an order of magnitude more people, somehow they're called prisoners compared to hostages? It's this bias that says, oh, these people who were captured, they've committed crimes and they're being held in a cell in order to prevent them, and they're waiting on a trial. None of this is true. And then on the other side, you have the hostages like, oh my gosh, we've got these trapped innocent people who have babies and their mothers, and oh my gosh, it's so sad. And it's just completely dishonest reporting. And you have to be critical enough of the bias to step back and kind of see, okay, is DOGE actually doing the waste and fraud thing? And so going into that, boom, let's do a couple quick numbers. So what's bigger, billion or trillion? Pop quiz.
What was that?
What's a bigger number, billion or trillion?
Oh, it's trillion.
Okay, well, that's news for Elon. So let's look at this. Everybody, or many people who are looking into it a little bit, have heard this headline. But if you didn't, last week, DOGE posted a huge spreadsheet of claimed savings from different federal contracts, saying, oh, so far we've saved $56 billion from taxpayer money. But the problem is, number one, the spreadsheet that they uploaded literally totals out to 16 billion, and that includes a number of math errors and also dishonest inclusions. One of the biggest which being there was a line item that was $8 million, and they wrote it incorrectly as $8 billion. Okay? So
that's a bad error.
16 billion minus 8 billion is $8 billion. Okay, so that $56 billion they claim has now been reduced to $8 billion with just a simple level 1 fact check. And this isn't biased. It's literally go check the spreadsheet, go check the analyses from Associated Press. This isn't like, trying to spin it. It's like, these are the numbers. They literally did not even add up their own numbers correctly. And then another part of this analysis that was put out was 40% of these contracts cut in this spreadsheet where they claim the savings were not savings at all, because they were basically funds that were already appropriated. Like, it's not like, oh, we prevented this money from being spent. It was already paid for. And some of the contracts we cut off without getting the product that we already paid for. So to cancel it off the thing doesn't even make sense, because we already paid for it. You can't save something that was like, you can't file a chargeback claim on federal contract line items, as far as I understand. You know, I'm certainly no economic expert, but it's just
you know math, and that's like a leg up on them, apparently.
Yeah, that's what you get when you get 20-year-old tech bros who, one of them goes on Twitter under the handle Big Balls. This is the level of intellectual superiority of these stable geniuses that we're working for, right? Okay, so we've basically outlined that. So you got $56 billion, poof, actually $8 billion. 40% of that $8 billion is not savings, so that's approximately $5 billion in savings or cuts, right? It's debatable whether or not those are savings or not, depending on how you value stuff. But let's say, for the benefit of the doubt, Elon Musk's DOGE has saved $5 billion for taxpayers. Thanks! Oh, we appreciate that, Elon. This just in. Mark Rubio expedites $4 billion in military funding to Israel. What's going on here? Hold on. So what's 5 billion minus 4 billion? I could have sworn I could know. What? That's a hard calculation. I'm trying to figure out what that would be. What's the total? 5 minus 4. Could you help me out here?
5 minus 4 is 1.
Oh, okay. So we're down to $1 billion in savings. Oh. I see here that it says, since taking office, let's pull this up. Not only has Mark Rubio expedited an additional $4 billion of weapons and ammunition. This is not financial general aid or humanitarian aid. This is weapons. And so in the 5 weeks since taking office, the Trump administration has approved $12 billion in major foreign military sales. So wait. What's 5 minus 12? Uh-oh. Oh my gosh, now we're getting into some weird stuff. We got to work with integers. That's $7 billion in the hole. Okay, so DOGE savings totaled, minus money that we just gave to Israel in 5 weeks, we're $7 billion behind. Okay, cool. Okay, so we know that now. Uh-oh, wait. And we covered this briefly last time, but what's happening? Uh-oh, apparently the House is voting to cut $4.5 trillion of revenue via tax cuts. And that story is not here, but we've got $4.5 trillion in tax cuts approved for largely wealthy individuals that are going to be some sort of extension of the Trump tax cuts from 2017. So that's another $4.5 trillion added to the deficit. So let's see. Wow, we're really far behind. I'm losing track of all these numbers. But don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry about a thing. Every little thing's going to be all right, because they're going to fix all this sort of imbalance in the budget that we've created for ourselves with cutting Medicaid. Wait, wasn't there a thing where Trump said, I'm not gonna do that or something? I could have sworn he said, I'm not going to cut Medicaid.
That's his favorite thing to do, is to tell us he's not going to do something. You got cut out.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I froze a little bit.
Oh, that's okay.
So yeah, I think I froze a little bit. But no,
Okay.
what I was going to say is that's Trump's favorite thing to do, is to tell us he's not going to do something, get the vote, and then do it anyway.
Yeah, he doesn't care about any honesty at all. And you remember how he said no tax on tips? First of all, that is a red herring, and that is not good anyway because of reasons. But have you heard about that happening yet? Has the no
No,
tax on tips gone into effect yet? I don't think so.
I don't
Uh,
think so.
2 sentence little tangent about that. The Trump tax cuts are actually a kind of a Trojan horse because that applies to corporate like dealings as well. So like you can get tips on like corporate dealings totaling, like millions and plus dollars. So literally it would be another exemption for people with a bunch of money to get more untaxable income. And so that's
I
the play with that claim.
I've never understood the whole concept of making the rich richer. If they're like, what are they gonna buy? They're not putting their money into a lot of stuff. Some of them are just hoarding it,
Yep.
and it will be generational wealth, right? But you think you would want more people to have more money so that they can buy stuff and be consumers and put it back into the market. And what's the point of making people who hardly spend and have all this wealth richer? What is the purpose? I've never understood the concept.
Yep. And on that, like since we're covering that, looky here. Um,
Yep.
One thing that's been a huge kind of thing of note is Warren Buffett. You've heard of him. He's one of the
Yes.
biggest billionaires of his time. Back in the old school days of the early 2000s, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett were battling it out for number one richest person in the world before the Jeff Bezoses came along. Uh, when Elon Musk was just a twinkle in our Tesla eye. And so in the last couple years, he has hoarded more and more money with his Berkshire Hathaway Corporation. And currently he's holding $334 billion in cash. And basically, so this is an indication from most people analyzing it that he is losing trust in the economy and is preparing for an imminent crash. And think about the ability to have so much money that you're just hoarding $334 billion for a rainy day. They don't know what to do with this money. They literally have too much to spend.
That's the point. It's like no, you think you would want more people purchasing things and putting money in besides a handful of people that have that much money and aren't doing anything with it. They're not donating it. There's people like Warren Buffett. They could easily wipe out hunger in an entire country with the amount of money that they have and still have loads of money left over. But we're supposed to be paying for that kind of stuff on wages that we can't even live on.
Right.
It makes no sense.
Absolutely. And do you remember around the time that Elon Musk was throwing out the whole "Let's buy Twitter" thing?
Yeah.
At the time, the UN, I believe, or basically some big world organization for humanitarian aid, I think it was the UN, basically said, "Hey, Elon, if you've got that money to throw around, the world's hunger crisis could be solved for an entire year with only $6 billion. You want to help us
Yeah.
out?" And Elon was like, "If you can throw me a plan that shows that you can do that with $6 billion, I'll definitely pay for it. Absolutely. If you can
You don't
show
even need
me."
a plan. It's just common sense. You have $6 billion, they have no food. That would feed them.
Hand it over. Give
Just
money now.
try.
Right.
See what happens.
Yeah, so let's pull that up real fast. He challenged the UN to provide a plan to end world hunger. And so like this is recalling this. And they came up with a plan to do this with $6 billion. And he kind of floated around. He was like, "Oh, actually, how about no? Instead, I'm going to buy Twitter." Oh, what a perfect thumbnail. He said, "Haha, got him.
Face.
I'm going to take over and ruin free speech by claiming comedy is back." And so that's what this is what happens when you have more money than you can spend. And look, in that same year, he had donated $6 billion worth of shares in order to write that off as donations on his taxes. And this dude can't take his current net worth Let's look. It should be around $330 billion as of now, last time I checked. $360 billion. He has more money than all of these guys. I mean, we know that, but all of these people have more than enough money to snap their fingers and fix world problems, but that is not their goal. Their whole goal is hoarding wealth as much as humanly possible. And so this ties in with this whole, we're saving the money from the government, they're wasting it so much. No, we have lower tax rates than we have in decades and decades. And as you'll hear from many people, the highest time of economic prosperity in the US was when we had marginal tax rates on the top rate of income earners of 91%. Okay, so basically what has happened is in the 60s and 70s, in the post-World War II efforts, we had so much money that needed to be raised for the government. They taxed the billionaires, or at the time, what would equate to billionaires, to give that money back. So we actually had ability to do infrastructure. And this is how we got the United States interstate system, right? And this is how we started building modern versions of what we have today, which are now kind of decaying because of lack of funding. And in the 80s, Reagan started passing huge, the biggest tax cuts of all time. They're so big, we don't know what to do with all these tax cuts. So it went from marginal rate. Over the course of 2 decades, we went from approximately 91% of every dollar earned over, in today's money, $3 million, to now it's like 35% is the most that they get taxed. So that's a reduction of 2/3 of the tax revenue that was coming from all these people hoarding money. So guess what? Now they're hoarding more than ever before. And we're like, America's so successful. We have so many billionaires. They're exactly the problem. They're like those hoarding shows where they're literally sitting on pee jugs and like old newspapers from 1984, and the whole house burns down because of a methane leak from all these old, you know what I mean? Like, this is what has happened in America, and they're just as stinky, if not more so. But yeah, so that is where we are now. They know exactly what they're doing, and they're trying to use this DOGE system to flip the idea of, hey, tax cuts for the wealthy. They're using this as a face to be like, no. We're cutting waste and fraud from the government, i.e. SNAP benefits and Medicaid and Medicare. And FAA workers and nuclear workers and bird flu experts. We're cutting that right out. We don't need any of that. What we need is $4.5 trillion in tax cuts. And as we've seen, $4.5 trillion compared to $5 billion.
Yeah.
That's still $4.5 trillion. We're in the hole. What's happening? I thought they cared about the deficit and the debt. It's all a play, maybe. I think I'm starting to piece it together.
It's laughable. It's just laughable, like where we are as a country right now. Like, I know I said this the last time too, but I never thought that I would be alive witnessing this kind of an era in life. Because you think back to like history class and you learn all of this really, really bad stuff, and you're like, that would never happen again.
Yep.
Like, we're over that. We've been through it. We solved that problem, and then here we are. And
Yep. And to me, I was always thinking in those classes, I was like, why didn't somebody stop this guy? Wasn't it so obvious what they were doing? You can literally just read it, and it's like a poorly written novel where you know exactly where it's going, right?
No, exactly. But yeah, here we are.
It's happening again. And that's because, think about it, we literally gutted funding for schools, and people are not learning about history, let alone important things such as creativity and arts and outside thinking and all these things. We went with no child left behind, and now we've left every child behind.
No, I mean, as somebody who was in like fourth, fifth grade when Bush did that, the No Child Left Behind thing, I absolutely should have been held back at least a year. Oh,
Leave me behind.
no, like legitimately, I went through. So math is not my strong suit, right? So I struggled with it, and I have like a little bit of dyslexia, so it didn't help me at all. But instead of holding me back and making sure I knew what I was doing, they kept pushing me through grade after grade until I got to high school and couldn't pass pre-algebra. I was like basically, oh, I'm like lagging a little bit. Sorry about that, but um, yeah, I can only do like general basics.
You
That's
were
it.
left out to
If you ask
dry.
No, exactly. Like if you asked me to do pre-algebra or anything past that, no can do. Absolutely not. But those are things that I should know. But instead of teaching me, they just kept pushing me through until I got to a point where I had to go to like an alternative school. That's a story in itself. But it was like a little house with a couple teachers in it. And instead of teaching me how to do the math, they just gave me these economic packets and a calculator. And that's how I passed. I just used a calculator and did a packet, and they passed me. And I
Hmm.
graduated with a diploma. There was no learning.
Yeah. And so it's a part of this larger play, right? You want to. Oh, I just realized my fan was on. Whoops. Sorry if there's like background noise. It's just like natural ambience. But and so like this ties into this. They have over decades have created this idea of they want to foster distrust in the government. They want people to be like, government's broken and it doesn't use my tax dollars right. But what's happened is all of the tax dollars have been vaporizing and just going up and up into personal wealth and bank accounts. And we've fueled new levels of speculation with cryptocurrency. And these same people think that they're like genius entrepreneurs and job creators because they speculated on Bitcoin in 2010. Like, this is the level of like hubris that we fostered in this new generation of people. They do literally nothing for the American people. Literally nothing. You are just speculating on other people's gains based on bad events or events in general happening in America.
Yeah.
And I know I'm going on a tangent, but the point is, they are trying to sow distrust in the government by defunding everything to the point of structural collapse or just above it, right? And then they're like, look at how broken the Department of Education is. Let's just shut her down. Instead of the logical solution, which is let's reform and rebuild these things to actually be sustainable and strong pillars instead of literally our infrastructure like bridges rusting through and crumbling. Like, I think American bridges are a perfect microcosm of what's happened in America. We used to have greatness when we had a bunch of taxes, and then that vaporized, and now our bridges are collapsing.
Literally, we had a bridge collapse out here in Pueblo, and the funniest part about it is someone spray painted, like on the broken parts, Jesus lives, Satan was defeated. Like they put an extra ED on that.
But didn't Satan win that bridge battle? Like, that's chaos theory.
Apparently, yeah, apparently not. He was defeated.
Are we saying that Jesus is pro entropy?
I guess.
I don't understand. This is like, maybe this is way over my head. Maybe they know something we don't, right?
Listen, my thought on it is if you're gonna spray paint and graffiti, at least spell it right. Please.
I swear. Yeah. Yeah, it's like back in the day, a lot of kids in my class would say, "My finger is broke today," and that was like a thing for like a year and a half. But we knew what we were saying. We knew we were being silly. But some people with spray cans, maybe they forgot. Maybe they have like a short term memory thing. They were like, E D E D. Now I'm done. I don't know.
I think I still have the picture somewhere. It was pretty funny,
Oh
but
man, if you can
yeah,
find it, let's showcase that. That would be pretty funny.
I'll
Um,
definitely look through and try and find it.
Perfect. Let's.
I feel like I need
Okay,
to do this real quick though, because I'm like lagging a bit.
you're actually not looking too bad. You haven't had like a freeze today.
No, but I noticed that like my words and when I'm speaking, like my mouth, they're not lining up, so I feel
Hmm.
like I'm lagging behind.
You're synced up for me, so I wouldn't worry too much.
Okay,
Yeah.
Cool. Then just for me, I'm a little messed up. That's fine. I just wanted to make sure it was
Yeah.
not like.
That's always how it is. You think you're a little messed up, but you're completely fine. That's
Oh
a
my
running
God.
theme here. So let's see. I wanted to get to a little bit of fun stuff here. Not that this isn't fun to rip on, because I just love absurdity and like clear facts being like, nah, not really. I have fun with that. But there's been a couple different instances this week that kind of flipped the head of the whole Idaho town hall sort of situation, where
Ooh, okay.
people are standing up, like it's a pattern of people now they're going to town hall meetings and they're being extremely vocal and critical and they're pressing their Congress people, including Republicans and veterans. Okay.
I wonder if so my mom brought this up to me earlier. She got an invitation to join the town hall here. But instead of doing it like in person, it's going to be over phone. The whole town hall meeting is going to be over phone. And if you have an invitation, then you can like call in and be like, this is what I want to talk about. But they won't do it in person. I wonder if that stems from the Idaho town hall thing.
That could be I don't know. Maybe
I don't know. Because I've never heard of someone doing a town hall where nobody actually goes to the town hall. You call in and do it over phone.
COVID, Zoom meetings. That's the only time I can think of.
Right, but we're not in that anymore.
Right. I wonder. There's some speculation to be had there. Yeah.
My mom thinks it's just because they're being cowards about it, but
that could be a lot to do with it, but it could also be like they could have lost their venue or like, but I think it's likely that they're like, we can easily mute any of these people if we want to.
Right. That's cowardly. Let people speak. Do it in the Walmart parking lot. I'll show up.
Yes. We'll do a tailgate, right?
Town hall tailgate. Start it. Make it trend.
That would actually be so fire. Like you're just like drinking some cold ones and roasting some dogs while
just
you get
to in the back of a pickup.
Right. You get to roast dogs and roast pigs at the same time.
You just have like one person in the back that's like, you suck.
Yep. That's literally prepare because again, like I was saying, this is a little bit of the other side of the same coin with the Idaho town hall thing. I have two different instances for us today. So let's go ahead and check out the first one. This is the one that kind of went more viral. The other one is almost like a side one, but it's just hilarious. Okay, so let's watch this.
I want you to watch what happens in this video when Senator Marshall is asked about DOGE cuts.
Why did I click on this if I'm not going to watch it? Dang it. Gosh, stop being so redundant. Let's go.
I don't like how round his head is.
He's reporting on stuff, and we're like, God, get your round head out of here. Stop telling me to watch. Just let me watch.
It's a perfect circle. Sorry, I just had to point that out.
Impact on the jobs of military veterans.
What you're doing right now, what the government is doing right now, as far as cutting out those jobs, a huge percentage of those people, and I know you care about the veterans, are veterans.
Yes.
And that is a damn shame.
Yes. Yeah.
That is a damn shame. I'm not a Democrat, but...
Okay, so right here, here's a crucial bit. So get ready for the response from this, I think his name's Marshall, Roger Marshall, maybe? Yeah, I looked it up. Hold on.
Is that the guy with the round head?
Yeah. No. That's the host. This is all taken like on a phone from a town hall. So this is the crucial moment. This dude is the crux of what comes next as far as a little exit strategy.
Yes. Yeah.
That is a damn shame. I'm not a Democrat, but I'm worried about the veterans, man. That's good.
Well, I yielded to one of my elders, and I appreciate his comments. I think it's a great, we don't have time for everyone to stand up. I do got two more commitments today. Appreciate everybody making the drive out, and God bless America. Thank you.
That was your response. This man just leaves because he didn't say.
We're going to take pictures with you, buddy, right?
In a statement.
So,
Love it.
Yeah, so this guy, let's listen to this super milquetoast baby bee, no brain in head response here. He has no rebuttal to this. He's like, I'm offended that you would bring up an issue amongst the constituents with me, the representative of these constituents. Let's listen to this one more time here.
Well, I yielded to one of my elders, and I appreciate his comments. I think it's a great. I'm not gonna. We don't have time for everyone to stand up. I do got 2 more commitments today. Appreciate everybody making the drive out, and God bless America. Thank you.
Literally scared, cowardly, shaking in their boots.
A similar response my mom got because she mailed or emailed one of our senators and had said a bunch of stuff about the concerns that she has, and the response that she got, and again we talked about this morning, is he didn't really give a response. All he basically said was, I share the same concerns, thank you for reaching out, and then that was it.
That's literally all they say.
Nothing.
They're like, we appreciate your concerns. We are fighting for insert whatever your issue is here, and yeah, have a good day. Like,
yeah, they didn't even tell her they were fighting for it. They were just like, we share the same concerns, best regards, thanks for reaching out. Like,
things are bad. Sincerely, the guy you voted in.
Imagine if she like had mailed them through like post-up mail, and then she got like a letter back, and there was like teardrops stained into the paper, like they were just crying over it. I'd much prefer that than that email she got.
Stop making me do my job. That's literally their whole thing. It's very, very odd. Did you did she get in contact with a certain Jeff Hurd today? Have you heard from Hurd?
She's been calling. No one has answered, but I did. I gave her that number, and she was so ecstatic that when I told her that you found it, and she goes, oh, what? Yeah, she's been blowing it up. She's been leaving voicemails. Yeah.
We're doing the real sleuthing. Everyone watching, like, just a side note, you can find your local senator and representative phone numbers. Just a quick Google search. Blah, 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 office. And then you get, like, a series of numbers. Call your representatives. Let them know how pleased you are with what they're doing. Or be serious and say, hey, maybe I don't want Medicaid and SNAP cut because 40% or 60% of children in America rely on Medicaid, including 80% of children in poverty. So I was thinking maybe we don't want children to starve, and maybe Elon Musk doesn't need another $100 billion. We were just thinking that. Maybe consider that next time you want to run your mouth about any dumb crap you have going. Wanting to let oil and gas corporations get off the hook for methane emissions and etc. Just they fundamentally do not care about their constituents. And Democrats want to pretend that they do, but they don't really do much of anything. Even when they're in power, you know what I mean? They're all two sides of the same coin as far as class war and business corporatocracy compared to the average person. Like, both have that, right? One is on social issues more closely aligned with what I have, but they both think, hey, free markets and liberation and everything that makes America great is no regulation. It's complete asinine BS-ery. And so in conclusion, with all of that story that we were talking about previously, the numbers don't add up. It's all just a shell game to make you think they're saving money when they're literally ripping it right out of your pocket. And people on both sides just need to wake up to this. Just like that clip. Like, literally, both of those guys were like, I voted for you. I am not a Democrat, but veterans, do you remember those guys? They're important. I'm one of them. Please, please don't hurt me. And this is exactly what's happening. Start with the trans people and the immigrants, and then gay people, which our next clip will cover, and then you cover the veterans, and then you cover people on food assistance, and then you call mentally people with mental disorders, you call them crazy people and unfit for society. And basically you just demonize every class and you devalue them. And then by the end of it, guess what? We're all in our own little segments, and therefore we have no collective power. So we have to realize no war but class war. That is exactly what's happening. There's only 1% of them. The 99%, we outnumber them. Wise up and start to pay attention, and then hopefully there can be more bridging. Like there should be a working class bipartisanship, right? To understand it's not red versus blue. It's Elon versus you, right? That's the whole thing. We have to let people know the numbers don't add up. They are fooling you. It doesn't matter what side you're on. It's just counting. But yeah.
And I'll just throw this in here too, just randomly. It doesn't really have anything to do with what you just talked about, but you mentioned like the LGBTQ community. It reminded me. There's it's healthcare, but specifically kind of geared towards the LGBTQ community. It's called Folks, like FOLX. And if you go to their website, they have like $25 memberships, and you get unbiased healthcare, basically. And all of the healthcare professionals are of the LGBTQ community, or they're an ally. So you don't even have to really go like in person. They have mental health people. They have STD checks, all that kind of stuff that you need, or just primary care. And you can do it on your phone. You can do it on the computer, or you can go in person if they have like an area near you. But it's supposed to be like a safe place for them to go and get their health care without being judged. Which I've heard, like my roommate, she is a lesbian, and she will tell you stories of trying to get health care and trying to explain to the nurse or the doctor that she's not having sex with men is like a troublesome, because they look at her like she shouldn't be there. She's had instances where they're like, we're still going to give you a pregnancy test. She's like, how would I get pregnant? So they force her to get pregnancy tests. They make her do the STD checks.
I have to interject. Have you ever heard of the story of one person called Jesus Christ? Are you denying the idea of immaculate conception? You are preventing the second coming of Jesus with your rhetoric right now, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
You can't tell me she didn't use the turkey baster, because my cousin did that for one of her kids, and she got pregnant. So it happens. Just not this way.
Honestly, that's like that reminds me. It's like coat hangers are to abortion as turkey basters are to IVF, right? Oh my gosh! Wow, I could go on a bad tangent there, but let's cut it off.
Yeah, there's that healthcare. Also, if you want to join WHO or like the WHO organization, just because we were pulled out of it, you can still subscribe to it from their website. Then you don't even have to worry about the government telling you. They'll just send you like newsletters.
I wanted to quickly mention on that note, I'm just not even gonna like bring it up too much, but JD Vance, I think, was calling for us to remove ourselves from NATO and the UN, which is like the next step of us isolating and dissolving ourselves of the world consensus as far as war crimes and humanitarian aid goes, right? Shutting down USAID, dropping out of WHO, dropping out of NATO, dropping out of UN, sending bombs to Israel, giving Russia the dub. That is exactly what's happening. It's not isolationist when you're shaking hands with Putin. It's not isolationist when you're opening your seat and shaking hands with Netanyahu. You are not fooling me. You're fooling people, but you're not fooling me. And we need to wake up people left and right. Like, it's all just BS. Like, if you believe in these ideals, like, stand up for them. Don't just, like, Biden was not great either. Like, I'm not, it's like, just look at the facts of what's going on, right? Try to make your own assessments. Yeah, so I covered that real fast. I want to get to this second clip because this one's just hilarious. I pulled up different clips, and I don't know if this is going to be the exact one I would like, but we're going to go for it because it looks like one of the longer ones.
A state of Michigan.
Blah, 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 blah. You've got a little news coverage. I don't want to hear any of that. Get out of here. What I wanted to show a little bit of the beginning of this clip, but I don't think this one has it because this dude is as nervous as could possibly be because he knows what he's about to say and how indefensible it is. In my opinion, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
I love how he wears the same color as the curtain behind him. It's like when someone wears green in front of a green screen.
I don't think he planned this one out. I don't think he got the memo of the background. You know what I mean? Let me just really quickly. I wanted to figure out what this dude's age is because when I saw him, I didn't look into it, but I was like, this dude is absolutely younger than I am. He's like 27 was my guess. He is.
I bet he's like 40s.
That would be crazy. Are you not even going to show his... Okay, this cannot be a coincidence. There is no mention of his age or his birth year or anything in his name's Josh Shriver.
Oh.
So
Michigan State rep, yep.
Mm-hmm. Is this like forbidden knowledge? Because he should be hiding. He is 27 at best. He really looks like he's like 21 years old. Like still in college. What? This is weird. No way. There is no way to find his age. This is not... Oh. Yeah, no, this is not a coincidence. I can't even believe that.
Oh.
I can't even find it. No way. This is actually crazy.
Wait, even on like Wikipedia, where it's got like his before education and before politics, it doesn't even say. It's
That's what I'm saying.
Graduated,
yeah.
Like MSU, but
this guy's hiding. He knows he's like 4. Oh.
Hold on.
He got a bachelor's in 2016.
Yeah, so I was trying to do the math, but like
he would be like 30 something. I don't believe it. There is a reason he is obfuscating his age systematically online, but you know, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, let's have his words speak to the content of his character. Are you ready for this? Pull up the clip. Roll the clip.
Michigan Christians follow Christ's definition of marriage as a covenant between a man and a woman.
State Representative Josh Shriver speaking
oh
on his
my,
proposed
please, with this, I want to talk over the thing. That's our job. Let me talk over my stuff. Okay, keep running.
Overturning the landmark case that legalized same-sex marriage nearly a decade ago.
It has been 10 years. We have more proof than ever to show that this shift in the family structure is bad for Michigan children.
While Shriver had no evidence to back up that claim, the thought of the resolution alone is enough to bring some to tears.
I'm very emotional.
Okay, I don't care about this. Wow, they didn't even show the whole statement. That's actually BS. But anyway, he literally shakes in his boots and is like, at the beginning of it, he literally says, I'm going to give my statement and I'm not taking any questions, so if you have any questions, refer to my remarks. And so he's too scared, and this is actually making me a little bit upset. Hold on. Let me see if I can sleuth and find this clip, because what you need to react to is his whole... Wow, I'm actually really surprised.
You're trying to find his like age. I will find it. I will. It might take me a year, but I'll find it.
Why do I need these silly stories where people are showing 4-second clips? This is not journalism. Just show me the information. Gosh, and this is one thing that's a problem. You know, we on a podcast, we're saying, hey, we're going to analyze and commentate on this. But the news has to like, what they should do, they should just show you what is going on. And then you don't need people to spoon feed you, hey, he's talking about gay marriage. I think we figured that out, buddy. Where? Wow, this is actually crazy. But I really just wanted to show... Please don't say words. Please don't say words.
Have some remarks prepared.
Ooh, here we go! Oh my gosh. Wow. Thank you so much, Heartland Signal. Huge shout out to whoever you are. They have the full unedited clip. We got to take this all in. I know we've been kind of beating around the bush, but this is important. Here we go. Here we go.
Have some remarks prepared. I'm going to be sharing these, and I won't be taking any questions afterwards. If you do have any questions, just refer to my remarks.
Definitely not scared.
Today, February 25th.
Look at this giant breath before he starts. He's like, about to be eviscerated. Please think about your exit strat as soon as possible.
Today, February 25th, in the 2025th year of our Lord, I hereby call on
like
the
he's
U.S.
doing a
Supreme
mock
Court
trial for high
to
school.
overturn Obergefell.
He looks like he's on the debate team and he's about to get
This decision
stomped.
has defaced the
Practicing
definition
his
of marriage,
valedictorian speech.
undermined our
Right.
God-given rights.
Can you hear this okay? Should I crank it a little?
Persecution of Christians.
I can hear it.
And confuse the American family structure. Michigan Christians follow Christ's definition of marriage as a covenant between a man and a woman, an institution established to glorify God and produce children. Children raised in same-sex households are 2 to 3 times more likely to experience developmental delays.
No,
False.
To
they're
my fellow
not.
conservatives,
False.
if we cannot
No evidence for
conserve
that.
the bedrock of our civilization, the family, then we can't call ourselves conservatives anymore. Now is the time to do the right thing. Now is the time to reassert the sovereignty of Christ as our King. Now is the time to restore the authority of God and submit our will to He who knows what's best. May He be gracious to you. May He turn His face towards you and give you peace. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
I need them to put that same energy into the foster care system and adoption. You know how many kids are in the foster care system and are waiting to be adopted?
Well, God has a mysterious plan for them, don't you know? They are going to find salvation in the afterlife. But in this life, they should toil and struggle.
And suffer.
Let's not give them Medicaid benefits or make sure that they're fed with SNAP benefits.
Loving environment with people who aren't going to do, bad things to them in bad situations and then get paid by the government to do it.
Let's go ahead and force them into situations where they can't express their love for other people and can't be put in a position to be able to adopt kids to address the whole lack of parenting crisis in America.
Yeah, you cannot push that you want people to breed more when we already have an overabundance of children that don't have homes.
Right. They don't care about
no
that.
Balance.
Right. They don't care about that at all.
They don't.
They care about the good word of Jesus Christ. I think so. There are many people, such as your J.D. Vances and the like, that they're not particularly intelligent necessarily, but they know exactly what they're doing when they manipulate and they use Christianity and these cultural icons and stalwarts to manipulate people to say, oh, we should be bigoted against immigrants because that's the Christ-like thing to do. They quite literally obfuscate and twist words in any way they want to. And that's a larger critique on religion because when you have a document that's literally a Rorschach test of your own moral character, you will find exactly what you want to use as your own confirmation bias to assert your superiority morally to other people. That's the whole thing. I hear people say, oh, real Christians, they love everybody and they think that Christianity is, all about love and supporting other people and it doesn't matter. And then on the other side, you have people also arguing, hey, the Bible says man shall not lay with a woman. And but they conveniently ignore the whole shellfish thing and putting women in tents during their period and things like that because that's not convenient for their narrative, right? And it's just all BS. But anyway, I think that this guy is one of those homeschooled types who was indoctrinated so much that he truly believes he's standing up for Jesus right now. I don't know what your vibe was,
but you know what? But they're not. And so obviously I didn't grow up super religious, right? But the one thing I do know is any religious person who is against immigrants of any kind can suck a fat one because Jesus was Palestinian and they're not even trying to help Palestine, but their Christ was Palestinian.
Right. He was also Jewish, which is a very funny rope to throw in there.
Exactly.
Right. He was a Palestinian Jew who was brown. And we have white Christian nationalist Zionists trying to fight for superiority of a particular religion and the returning of the promised people to Palestine, Israel, in order to start the second coming of Jesus. There are people who think that way unironically, and they're not just pushing it to as a means to their ends, right? I think I want to get your assessment, but I feel like this guy is one of those like actual Christ followers who like genuinely thinks all this stuff in the year of our Lord, and yeah.
He does. They're brainwashed. They're absolutely brainwashed. I will not respect any religion that tells you that you need to hate somebody because of how they were born. I will never.
That's my whole thing.
It's not a thing.
Right.
Plus, like, just as like an atheist, right? It doesn't mean that I don't believe in God. It just means that I don't believe in a God that will allow his followers to act the way that they do and praise him for it. There's if I'll have to find it for you and we'll watch it next time. Because he says it a lot better than I do, but yeah, I would more than likely believe that there was 12 Greek gods and that they were real because at least they had realistic qualities to them. They knew when they were doing some bad stuff, but they were human.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing human-like things, and they didn't expect you to bow to them like they were almighty. They're like Zeus.
They're like, I don't really care, bro.
Like,
I'm like immortal and stuff. I'm above you. I don't care what you think.
No, exactly. Like they knew. But to say that there's a God up there that wants you to get on your knees and praise him for doing nothing.
Or get sent to eternal damnation in hell.
Or get sent to eternal damnation because you befriended like someone of a different race. No.
It's very
absolutely
odd.
Not.
Yeah, no, Jesus would be flipping the tables on these guys. That's my thought. Like, there are interesting and good things that exist in the Bible, but it doesn't matter because you can just take the bad ones and run with it. So again, it's a Rorschach test for your humanity. It doesn't matter. If you have such contradictory statements and it disagrees with its own text, like, you just pick a side and you roll.
If Jesus was alive in this day and age, they would have kicked him out for being an immigrant. They wouldn't allow him to be in the country, and he would definitely tell you that you were wrong, and I hope he smites every single one of them.
Yeah. So we're close to wrapping up today's episode, but we did not finish this this second clip, which ties into the first one so great. I mean, we finished the statement, but watch this. We return, and I have to start with him on the podium. Witness this exit, and then the swift rebuttal from someone else in this meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Beelines for the door.
Because he knows he's wrong.
All right, so this member of the LGBT community comes up and has a couple little comments. I would love to cap it off with this guy.
Yeah, I think this was just as buffoonish as I expected it to be. I think that this has fallen flat with people in the state of Michigan. I think that people respect their LGBTQ neighbors, their LGBTQ family members. These marriages have been the law of the land for 10 years. They contribute to family security. They contribute to economic security for people here in the state of Michigan. And, you know, we have real problems facing Michiganders. I don't think there's a lot of people sitting at their kitchen table thinking about, you know, their neighbor's marriage. And that poses a problem to the well-beings of their futures and their families.
Yeah, so that is, I thought that was a great immediate, he was like, y'all see this guy? Just
no. I mean, he brought up a good point too. Like if you're sitting in your house concerned about what your neighbors are doing just for being alive, like that's stupid to me. If I'm worried about what the neighbors are doing next door, it's because I saw a little bit of some criminal activity and I want to be nosy and I want to know what's going on in the basement. That's just because I love true crime. So, it's, you know.
It's a fine line because then you get people, God, there was a story, did you, this is so random, but there was a guy who was in Florida and I guess this wasn't vigilante, like spotting a crime, but this dude took action. There was a guy who was an Israeli, okay, and he saw what he thought were two Palestinian people in a car, and he shot at them like 5 times, and I think one of them got a minor hit and stuff, and they got sent to the hospital.
Just like unprovoked shooting?
completely unprovoked. They were doing literally nothing. They were chilling in their car. And then this dude shot at them. But guess what? Those people in the car, they were Israelis on vacation in Florida.
When you can't even distinguish against the people that you support and hate, like...
It's almost as if race is an arbitrary concept based on imaginary lines and misunderstandings of keratin and melanin and skin color. I don't know. Maybe there's something there to it. But the best, the funniest part of it all, like, I mean, that's incredibly ridiculous and telling. But the people who were shot at, the Israelis who were shot at, they assumed that the guy who shot at them, was Palestinian. So it's Israeli on Israeli violence, and they both assume that the other party was Palestinian.
They can't even tell themselves apart.
How amazing is that? It's such a perfect, like, leopards ate my face situation. Like, you literally started this, and you kind of are showing exactly the content of your character, that you're willing to just pistol whip two random people in a car because you assume I don't know about you, but you can do your little profiling and your quick assumptions of people's like lives through a window, right? I guess. Like, oh, they're jamming out to some music, or like I hear a bunch of rap and they're smoking and they got an Uber sticker. They're vibing, you know what I mean? And then you have people who want to assume someone's race and then shoot at them immediately. I don't have that type of conviction through a tinted windshield. I don't know about you, but...
Yeah. I'm just at a loss for words because I'm trying to like visualize like this whole situation in my head and how that went down. And all I get, like, if they have both gotten injured, I can only like imagine the conversation that they have, like if they're in the hospital and two like the same room, but they're both in different beds. Like, hey man, what are you? Oh well, I'm Israeli. Oh well, I'm also Israeli. Sorry for shooting you in the face. Well, I'm sorry for shooting you in the face.
Yeah.
It's just stupid.
But is that really the truth? But so anyway,
It took a minute to register. I was like, what did he just say?
Got him. But yeah, so that's kind of the news for today. I didn't have any important representative calls planned up, but we'll get some on Friday. And yeah, so that's like a quick overview of what's going on. I thought that whole the Republicans walking out was just a delicious little extra spice on that.
I found the video. Can I show you the video?
Yes.
Okay, just real quick. It was a TikTok that I was trying to explain. But,
so go ahead and share your screen, and I'll like switch us up here. Okay, so I'm gonna stop streaming on my side. This is tech stuff, y'all. Y'all wouldn't understand. It's like really important and stuff.
Of tabs I have up here.
You don't gotta like look at nothing that we're like doing because like we've got stuff going on here. So wait.
I'm not used to using.
There we go.
The web browser.
Boom. We're cooking.
It's light, and then this. Oh. So he's not really speaking, unfortunately, but you can kind of read the bottom.
Okay.
I like the way that he.
Can you mute the audio if it's not like them speaking? Just I don't want to get copyrighted.
No, it's muted. But essentially, it's Stephen Fry, and he's being asked about if he, his religion, if he believes in God, and he sums it up perfectly. Like he's asked, if you're at the pearly gates, what would you ask? And he'll say, bone cancer in children. What's that about? How dare you? How dare you create a world in which there's such misery that is not our fault? It's not right. It's utterly evil. Why should I respect a capricious, mean-minded, stupid God who creates a world which is so full of injustice and pain? And he says, and you think you're going to get in? What
a wild saying, like literally being like, hey God, why did you do all this stuff? And why do you think that that's good? And the guy's like, do you really think you're good enough to even talk to this guy?
Right, and he's like, I wouldn't want to get in anyway, but this is what I'd ask, knowing that I'm going to hell, whatever, if that's a real concept. He
I'll
says, I
catch you
wouldn't
there.
want, he's like, I wouldn't want to get in on his terms because they're wrong. Now, if I died and it was Pluto, Hades, and if it was the 12 Greek gods, then I would have more truck with it, because the Greeks didn't pretend not to be human in their appetites and in their capriciousness and in their unreasonableness. They didn't present themselves as being all seeing, all wise, all kind, and all beneficent, because the God who created this universe, if it was created by God, is quite clearly a maniac, utter maniac, totally selfish. We have to spend our lives on our knees thanking him. What kind of God would do that? Yes, the world is very splendid, but it also has insects in it, whose whole life cycle is to burrow into the eyes of children and make them blind. Why? And why did you do that to us?
Look at
just
the go back
there.
on Guy's face.
Yeah.
He's like, I really dislike when people come with me with facts and rebuttals and logic and arguments, and you are spitting in the face of everything that is belief. That's what these people think. Said you have to drop all pretense. You have to read it's reading a fantasy novel as if it's true. Suspend your disbelief just for one entire lifetime.
I don't think he was expecting this long of an answer either. But he's like, you could easily have made a creation in which none of that existed. It's not acceptable, which, again, agree. Atheism is not just about not believing there's a God, but on the assumption that there is one, what kind of God is he? It's perfectly apparent that he is utterly monstrous and deserves no respect whatsoever. The moment you banish him, your life becomes simpler, purer, cleaner, more worth living in his opinion. And then he goes, that sure is the longest answer to that question.
You know what? You try Christopher Hitchens on that one. You try Richard Dawkins on that. Try Carl Sagan on that.
Yeah.
Try any intellectual who has ever thought about this for any modicum of time and doesn't speak like this and thinks that everybody should be off Medicaid and maybe just a little hat on my head gives me a bunch more seriousness and I have very high quality production. And what this means is you can listen to me because I can speak at 200% speed, just like a YouTube video that you don't really want to listen to, but you got to scan through it. He makes me sick with vertigo, bro. Like, I'm like, please shut up for 1 second of your life.
It is, but I think, if the meaning of life is definitely worth a watch if anyone's interested in that kind of a thing. But he lays down a lot of things that I would have thought about but wouldn't have known how to put into words.
Yeah, I think
from where I'm at, but he worded that perfectly. I mean, that makes sense to me. This is why we are not religious in my household or in my family. It's just, we don't believe that hate should come from within you. You shouldn't have hate towards people.
Right.
If you do, it's because they're on To Catch a Predator with Chris Hansen.
Yeah.
And they got 9 months probation. I hate that. Oh, I love that show because I hate those people, but I hate that they get such a lenient sentence. That's an off-topic rant, but yeah.
I sure would like a slice of that pizza.
That's Jeff Sokol. It's sad that I even remember the man that ate pizza, and his name was Jeff Sokol. He tried to change his name too to Sonny or something, and then people posting on Reddit was like, you can change your name, but we still know who you are.
Right. We know your pizza face. But yeah, so that was a good way to kind of cap up all that, and we did it. Another one in the can. We're gonna head on out for the day, but we'll catch y'all all again on Friday. And we'll cover what other crazy, wacky stories our administration writes for us to lampoon by then.
Yeah, and I might have some random stuff to throw in there. So we'll see what happens.
We hope so. And we appreciate y'all tuning in as always. And until next time, we'll catch you around on the Who the Woo Are These People podcast. Have a good week. Don't let things overwhelm you. Keep doing what you do, but also stay in the know. And we'll help you get your foot in the door with all that. We appreciate y'all tuning in. Bye, everybody.
Bye.